Now, this is something that you need to hear as an MMA fighter. If you're questioning the way that this whole thing works and if there's a better way to do it, if you know anybody that's in that same situation, that is an MMA fighter and that is struggling, send them this video, okay? I'm doing this thing different and I know it can be done and I'm gonna prove it. Kajan Johnson versus Ari Ashari, Ag Rec Center, May 31st. Be there. Prep is already done. I'm already ready. I'm ready to get in the cage. I can fight tomorrow. I'm only 10 pounds off of fight weight, so this is easy work. Now, this isn't the only fight I'm doing. I'm trying to stack them together. I'm talking to another promotion right now to fight 30 days later. The next fight is going to be MMA, ideally, unless something else pops up. What the hell am I doing? What the hell am I thinking? I'm thinking that most MMA fighters are doing this wrong. I'm thinking that most MMA fighters are not leveraging their attention and not leveraging their experience in the way that they could. Not structuring their fight camp, not structuring their career in the way that they could. Now, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna fight all the time. Because what is the best training for fighting? What is the best training for running? It's running. Now, in fighting, that's difficult, right? Oh, but what about injuries? Yeah, you gotta change the way you train in fight camp. You gotta train like a Thai, right? The Thais aren't out there doing 100 rounds of sparring, hard sparring before their fighting once every 6 months. That's not what they're doing. Their camp is consistent. It's not even a fight camp. They just live their training lifestyle. They live training. They train all the time. And then they fight every 2 weeks, every month, every 3 weeks. And that way, they're able to leverage their fight as training for their next fight. People think about training as training. I think about fighting as training. Fighting is the most important part of training for the next fight, for the next challenge. I'm not sparring hard. I had one hard sparring session this whole camp, one. And yeah, I'm still moving around with guys. I'm still doing very light, minimalized sparring so I can get real, live reactions of what will happen when somebody is trying to punch me and I have to stop them from punching me and punch them back. I need to get real used to that feeling. It needs to be like second nature. If you're doing that and it's super hard all the time, or even like at an 80% hard, which is pretty much how everybody spars. Believe me, I've been doing this for like 25 years and if I knew this training method, if I thought about this training method before, my whole career would have been very different. They're training so hard that by the time they get to the fight, they're broken down. They start here at like 3 months out and they begin their cardio and their power build. And then they start building into their power endurance build, right? And then they start building into their sprint build, and that entire time they're just putting in rounds and rounds of hard sparring, super hard rolling. And then really close, like maybe in fight week, they start doing a little taper. Maybe a week and a half out, 2 weeks max, they start doing a little taper, right? The experienced guys, 2 weeks, they start doing a little taper so their body can recover. And then they go into the fight and they're like half beat up from camp. They got like a jacked knee and a jacked ankle, and they got all this accumulated percussive damage from all the punches they already took. And then they got to go cut weight, and when they cut weight, they just do it in this incredibly crazy way where they're cutting like 30 pounds in 24 hours, then shoving a whole bunch of sugar into their mouth and just get all bloated and full of inflammation. And then they go into the cage still digesting their food and get punched in the head a whole bunch. And then they are so busted down from camp that they got to take like an entire month off, or they just have that brain like, oh, I did all my hard work. I see these fucking fighters. I see them after the fight with a big box of donuts just shoving them in their mouth, right? Ah, that's good for your brain damage, buddy. Ah. And then they rest, right? And then they rest and they take all this time off, and they're super picky about their opponents, which I understand. You're trying to get to the show, so you got to have an O on your record, right? 8-0, 9-0, 10-0, you got to have an O, right? So you got to pick all your opponents. So you're fighting once a year, once every 6 months is probably the standard, once every 6 months. And so by the time you go and fight again, the fight that happened six months ago, you're not leveraging that, right? You barely remember that. Your body barely remembers going through that. So now you got to go and do the whole thing again. You got to do all the hard sparring. You got to build your cardio back up to the peak. You got to do it all over again. again, instead of just always being on your cardio, always being on your diet, so you're close to fight week all the time, so that you can fight on 2 weeks notice. Easy work. And then you fight, and then you take a couple days off, 2-3 days off. Me, I'm planning to take 3 days off, and when I take those 3 days off, I'm gonna fast. I'm gonna drink water, have probably MCT oil and some neuroprotective things, but I'm not gonna be eating any food for 3 days after my fight. And during that time, my body is going to be doing something called autophagy, which is when your body eats the diseased, damaged tissue, right? Because it has nothing else to eat. It's not gonna eat the good stuff. It's not gonna eat the stuff that it wants to keep around. It's gonna eat the stuff that's useless, right? So it's gonna eat away all of these damaged cells. So whatever brain punches I got, right? Brain punches, whatever shots to the head I got, it's gonna start to eat away at that damaged tissue. Whatever like inflammation is in my body, all of my injuries are gonna be vastly minimized because of the lack of inflammatory foods coming into my body and aggravating my injuries. So I'm gonna heal very fast, right? I'm gonna heal very fast, and then I'm gonna try to fight right away. So like after 3 days, I'm going right back to hard cardio, man. I'm going right back to hard cardio. I'm going right back to work because that is my life. My life is training and work, right? That's what I do. I have my kids, I train, I work. That's it. So training is the only thing that I get to do outside hanging out with my kids that's like quote unquote fun and for myself. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be running 10K, 15K, 20K. I'm gonna be sprinting up mountains. I'm gonna be shadow boxing. I'm gonna be smashing trees. I'm gonna be smashing tires. All the grunt work that everybody hates doing. That's what I'm gonna be doing, right? And then I'll continue to do my martial practice. I'm gonna keep rolling. I'm gonna keep training. I'm gonna keep sparring, but not at an intense level. The intense stuff that I'm doing is pretty risk-free. It's way harder to injure yourself running 10K than it is in a fully fledged fight, pretty much. A fully fledged sparring session with shin guards where you guys are wearing 6-ounce gloves instead of 4 and punching each other in the head as hard as you can, shooting full takedowns and slamming each other into the cage. It's so much easier to get injured like that than it is running at a good pace for 10, 15K, than it is sprinting on the track, right? That's gonna allow me to just go and fight again. And I will still vividly remember the fight before. I will feel like I had just been in the octagon. And I know this, man, because I figured this out right at the end of my career. The last two fights I had were Islam Makhachev and then Rustam Khabilov. They're training partners. They're both trained by Khabib's dad. I fought Islam and then I lost. Obviously, everybody knows I lost. I got armbarred. It was gay. But that night, while I was lying in bed, I got pissed and I texted Sean Shelby. I'm like, I want another one. I want another one right now. Sign me up. Let's go. And he texted me back, Rustam Khabilov, Moscow. And I was like, oh man, oh no. It was like the same thing again. But that's a perfect challenge, right? Like I failed to beat Islam. I did not approach the fight in the correct way. So it's perfect that the universe gives me this test of Rustam Khabilov, which is a very similar, not exactly the same, but very similar version of Islam. So then I can learn how to beat that style and improve as a martial artist. And okay, so I'm like, yes, bet, let's do it. He's in Moscow, let's go. So I get back to the gym and I'm right back into conditioning, right? I'm like, the week after I fought, I was conditioning and I felt amazing. I was like, oh man, this is way better than having a hell week or hell 2 or 3 weeks where I'm trying to build up my threshold to like an acceptable level where I don't feel like vomiting and shitting. Also, I was eating sugar and carbs, so my gut was nowhere near as solid as it is now. I probably don't really have the same vomiting and shitting experience where I get super tired and then that's what starts happening. Now I just feel fatigued and it's more difficult to move, but I don't feel like I'm gonna shit myself, which is a great thing. That whole build, it took very little time. It took very little time for me to to feel like I was in fight shape because I never left fight shape. And then when I got to Moscow and I actually got into the cage with Rustam, it was like, oh, I was just here. Like, this is just another day. I didn't feel the same kind of adrenaline dump. I didn't feel the same kind of like nervousness, the same fear. I didn't feel as afraid as I would normally for such a massive situation, for such a big test. I was like, okay, yeah, this is just normal. Let's go. And then after that fight, right, everybody knows like I lost to Rustam Khabilov, but worst decision of 2018, so probably not a loss. But after that fight, I got back home and I decided to go for a little bit of a run. And that run turned into a sprint very quickly. And I didn't sprint, I was running, but at a sprint pace. And it didn't feel like I needed to slow down. Like I was able to run an 800 at the same type of clip I would normally run a 100. Like the same kind of intensity. It's just like I could just keep going and going and going. And that's only 2 camps stacked on each other, right? That's only 2 camps. So what if I'm able to do this 4, 5, 6 times? What kind of a level of conditioning am I going to be able to get to? It's going to be insane. It's going to be insane. It's going to be absolutely something to witness. I also have to couple that with a diet that allows me to, one, bring 100% of myself to the table. I talk about this in many videos. It's so important that you need to bring 100% of yourself to the table and have your entire body going in one direction at one time for every single second that you're in that octagon. Now, that doesn't start in the octagon. It starts before. It starts before. It starts way before. It starts every single day of your life. You need to be used to putting yourself in the same direction, getting all of your thoughts, all of the different aspects of your personality going in the exact same direction. Not have one distracted by something over there that's like, oh, but cookies, that doesn't help my goal. That just having that thought means I have to divert mental energy to bringing that guy in line, right? If I'm able to just have everything going like this, then it's so much easier to be on the day of the competition. And also it supports my body. One of the craziest things about this carnivore diet is that you don't feel sore. You don't get sore. So most fighters that do steroids so that they are able to train more often. They're able to rest less and get more benefit from their rest so they can recover easier, so they can train more. But if I don't get sore, then I don't need the same amount of rest, do I? If my body has no inflammation within it, then it is so much easier for my body to heal injuries that I accumulate. Because regardless of how I train and how safe I be, I'm gonna get injured at some point. I've got injured a few times in this camp and I'm able to work around it, and then when I work around it for 2, 3, 4 days, they heal by themselves. They just do it. They just do it like it's a mutant healing factor or something. And it's just because I'm not shoving all these carbs in my face. This is what I look like all the time. Like I'm always vascular. I always have a 6-pack. I don't go above 175 pounds. I normally walk at 171, 172 pounds. I used to walk at 178, 182. When I was living in Montreal at TriStar Gym, I was walking at 185 pounds, fighting at 155. Now, for me to take a short notice fight like that, it's really, really difficult. For me to fight often like that, it's really, really difficult because I have to cut so much weight every single time. I'm gonna blow up after the fight, and then it's even harder to cut the weight again. But now I just eat meat, so I'm not gonna blow up. The only way I can actually blow up now is if I lift weights, because if I lift weights, I'm eating so much protein that my body will build muscle, lean muscle. I don't get fat, I don't get swollen, I don't turn into the moon man, okay? When I was 23 years old, my coaches used to call me moon face. My coaches would call me moon face because after I fought, I would blow up and it would all be in my face, just so much inflammation up here that my face turned round and I'd get like a double chin. And this is back when I had no beard, so you can see it, and they just called me out. I'm like, I know the cookies. Now I eat 0 cake. I eat 0 cookies. I eat 0 rice, potatoes, sweet potato, noodles, bread, any of that. 0. I eat 0 vegetables. I eat meat. I eat salt. I eat all forms of meat, fish, chicken, but mostly I eat ground beef. I eat steak once in a while because Canadian economy is crazy. Who can afford steak all the time? Nobody. I eat ground beef mostly. What do I put on it? I put salt on it. How do I cook it? I put it in a pan, I pour a bunch of salt on it. I fry it till it's cooked, I pour it in a bowl, I eat it. Sometimes I get creative and I cook some bacon as well, and I put the ground beef in a bowl and then I crumble the bacon on top of it. I eat it. Put some chicken on it, cook a pork belly, right? Cook some brisket, put that on top of the ground beef, I eat it, right? And I look like this. At 41, at 41 years old, I look better than I did at 21. I am at least as fast as I was at 21. I can run farther, I can lift more. I'm smaller, but I'm stronger than I was at 21, than I was at 31, than I was when I fought Islam and Habilov. I'm smaller now, but I'm stronger now. I'm more fit. And I'm smarter. My brain works better because there's less inflammation in my brain, right? Because my body is able to recover so easily. I feel like all of the things that I was experiencing that can be symptoms of brain damage, of TBI, right? Like erratic thoughts and impulsiveness and just racing thoughts. I also have ADHD, so all of that has been severely decreased. So now I can focus. And when I can focus in the fight, bro, I can hit you in the face really easy. Really, really easy. Because my thoughts aren't all over the place. My thoughts are in one direction, and that's your chin. And then I can just hit it by just telling my body, there, and it just goes by itself. I don't have to like think about how I'm gonna hit you. I just say there, and it goes. And I wasn't experiencing this before I was doing carnivore. Now, this is something that you need to hear as an MMA fighter. If you're questioning the way that this whole thing works and if there's a better way to do it, I hope this helped you. If you know anybody that's in that same situation, that is an MMA fighter and that is struggling, send them this video, okay? I'm doing this thing different and I know it can be done and I'm gonna prove it. May 31st, I'm fighting Ari Ashari. This is a pro boxing fight. I'm an MMA fighter, and I'm gonna fight in pro boxing against a pro boxer. He's a career boxer. He's been doing it since he was a kid, and I'm gonna smash him. And after that, I'm going back to MMA, and I'm gonna smash them. And after that, I'm gonna go do a Muay Thai fight, and I'm gonna smash them. I'm gonna smash everybody, because sugar doesn't beat meat. And unless you're willing to eat nothing but meat, you don't have a hope of beating me.